You know, some days there's absolutely nothing that I love more than getting a little bit of constructive feedback from people about my systems, processes, communication styles, sense of humour, whilst taking a nice sip of coffee out of my brand new Ecology mug. Lovely. Thanks very much for your feedback. And this is actually pretty much the essence of all I really want to initiate a discussion about today in this Principles into Practice video, the art of getting constructive feedback. You know, when it comes to us developing ourselves as ecologists and helping practitioners, if we don't have a system or a process in place for getting feedback from others, well, how are we ever going to know what it is that we're doing well and what it is that we're not doing so well? So, obviously inside of Ecology, we have a number of different initiatives that you can get involved in, such as the Triads practice sessions. We've obviously got accountability buddies and a number of different initiatives that you can connect with other people through to inform your practice, to learn from, to grow with, and obviously get feedback from. But at some point, all right, we need to move beyond practice. And this is kind of when the rubber hits the road. When we start working with real clients who aren't other Ecology members or they've not taken one of the courses and everything that we have inside of us, all of our insights, all of our lessons is kind of like brand new to them, all right? So, over the years, I have asked people to give me feedback in a number of different ways. And I remember when I first started coaching, I would, at the end of a session, I would say, listen, is it okay if we just had 2 minutes just to discuss what's worked and what's not worked in the session for you? And clients would say, yeah, sure, no problem at all. And then I would say, okay, so what's worked? What's not worked? And they would say, yeah, this session's been really good. Yeah, I liked that thing that you said. I agreed with this, I agreed with that. And to be honest with you, right, when we're getting feedback from people that's just either negative or positive, that's not really the kind of feedback that allows us to make the kind of changes that's really going to improve the caliber of our practice, all right? Unfortunately, the kind of feedback that we really need to improve as practitioners is a kind of feedback that more often than not we don't always like being on the receiving end of, which is honest feedback, constructive feedback. Now, I just want to help you just become crystal clear on the difference between constructive feedback and negative feedback. I'm going to suggest that negative feedback is generally quite naive feedback, right? People say, I like or I dislike, and I dislike this because I disagree or I was expecting something else. That's just naive. Constructive feedback is when we are addressing another person's approach, communication style, from more of an objective perspective. Positive or negative feedback is always going to be based upon a subjective perspective, based upon the individual's likes. Objective feedback is always going to be given for the purpose of helping another person to overall improve in many different areas. All right, so this is a very, very general discussion that we're having today. It's not one of these deeply thought-provoking, profound ones. I'm giving you a bit of a break today, if that's okay. But this is still very, very important because this will be relevant for all of you at some stage, if it isn't already. So, there is no right or wrong way of getting feedback from our clients, and feedback can be obtained subtly by questioning just simply how they feel a client session is going or how a session has gone. But as I've mentioned, there is no one right or wrong way of getting feedback. So today's question is probably aimed more at those practitioners and ecologists and helpers who've perhaps been practicing in a self-employed context or in a professional context for perhaps a few years, all right? But I'm hoping that you guys are going to be able to share your insights and your lessons learned with those who haven't yet started practice, so that as a community we can all learn from each other and move forward in the same direction. The question is, what strategy or what strategies do you have for getting feedback from your clients about your communication skills and also about your professional competencies? Now, It might be the case that you've just recently started practicing, and if so, it's possibly the case that you've even been on the receiving end of some feedback so far. So if this question applies to you, then how have you gotten feedback so far? This is it. That's the question for today. It's nothing profound, it's nothing too thought-provoking or intense, but it's something that's slightly more practical, and it's something that will be relevant to absolutely everyone at some point in the community. So I look forward to reading and following on the discussions in the forum below.